Hello again, traders. Right, just decided to open the charts. I've taken so many scalps today. It's I don't want to be really involved in trading on these slightly riskier trades, but this US 100 is interesting in my opinion because the way I sort of identified it initially was just to look at this and then look for um, the M30 because the M30 just closed and see what the numbers were on this. And the lowest number when I opened this chart was, I'm looking for this to go short to hit that yellow level, by the way, here to go through to this support level. We've got S2 down here as well. So open the charts, looked at the RSI histo. It was telling me that these should all fill in to the red side, as it were. And M30 has just closed, so that's that bar there. So we're bouncing. We're 6 minutes or 5 minutes into the new M30. We're doing the bounce. It's a big M30 bar, um, and this is to be expected. Looks like it might have tested S2, and really and truthfully, look, there's no divergence there, no bullish divergence, if you like, lower low that's made a higher low here. It's still looking down. Double check the H1, that's not looking particularly divergent to the long side either. And so if I wasn't making this video, as it were, I'd probably be trading this, but or potentially waiting for a trade. So all I do now is we can see we had a push down, a pullback. So this would have been the more sort of perfect scalp entry here, but I wasn't looking at the charts then. And this is why this isn't, this is far from perfect, but what gives it, forget this, this is just a line, sort of a session indicator level. So forget the big green box, that's just for my testing purposes at the moment. This should continue on down. And remember, we're talking about trading tests and retests. Old resistance, which this is an old weekly resistance from the 17th of November, uh, attracts price to be tested as support. You know, I say it time and time again. I used to have a little mantra, tests and retests, and this is why I absolutely adore Dean's lines. If you can hear some noise in the background, that's just a fan. Sorry about that. That is why um, I use Dean's lines so much, because this is a potential move of from the potential entry there, 280 points, 28 pips, whatever. So I'd be happy with just a half of that, 14 pips, 140 points, whatever. And the stop needs to be just above. Um, well, what I try to do is use the VIX Sporandio rules in every trade. So if I'm looking at this in M1, then the stop should really be up here somewhere. But I like to put it behind old support that may get tested, retested, tested, whatever, tested for the fourth time as resistance. Support here. So that would be a sensible stop. But as I've said many times, the the momentum, if you get your momentum entries perfectly correct, you know, this is actually a bust, pullback, break and close. The more momentum after the initial push down. But it's not perfect. So again, it's not a perfect entry, which is why I'm not worried about taking the trade. Just observing all the usual 3CR strategy rules. Okay, so let's go back to M5 and see what happens. And all the higher time frames agree. M15 closed with a red bar prior to the new M15 bar, so that's all good in terms of the strategy, as it were. Boxes are ticked and so on and so forth. So I'll pause this for a moment and just see what happens. Looks like it's going down. Well, sorry about that. I was dealing with a phone call. It looks like it's going down as I predicted. Look at M5. In fact, look at M1. Actually, M5 was more sensible, wasn't it, with that level below. So, um, under normal circumstances, if I was on my own, I would have had a little go at this. And from the entry, roughly there, not too worried about that pivot there. And as I said, halfway down, it's about 14 pips, 140 points. The pivot, as I said, doesn't bother me too much because they are fairly vague levels. So I don't count, although all brokers are different, but this particular one seems to be very good actually. Pivots, I've noticed when I compared 5 or 6 different ones. And look, we can see when it finally did it, tested it with the 2 red candles there. Finally closed through it, had a little bounce again, and went down. But I wouldn't. The point I'm trying to make is I wouldn't treat the pivot, a break and close through the pivot, as the reason to trade. The more important is the longer term analysis, the magnetic uh, support or resistance rather, wanting to be tested as new support. You know, call it what you like, supply and demand, or uh, levels where people have their stops below, stop hunting, or levels where there are new orders or whatever. So they want to bring in the new orders for whatever reason to make them think they're on a winner long and then crash them down again. All these different ideas have been programmed into the institutional algorithms, guaranteed. But this is the most important bit for me. Multi-time frame, 3CRs of course on the higher time frames, of which we are way, way 3CR'd to the short side, H1, and as it were. And that's it. So that's my analysis on that. I will pause this and see whether it does finally go down and hit that level. Shorten that a bit and pause it again. But back again, guys. Right. So this hasn't touched the weekly high, but remember, and this is another. It's good that I make these videos for myself and others because I forget these critical little things that I don't forget when I'm trading, but forget when I'm making the videos. The reason I would have potentially just taken a trade short of uh, these zones, because remember that's what they are. They're a weekly open and close zone. So that's why it's the thick line. But that could easily be 100 points and or whatever. And I keep that in the back of my mind all the time. There would be a precision way to work it out, but then I'd have 10 lines all around this little level here. Uh, a week rather. So 5 or 6 daily open closes and all that lot. So you have to keep that in mind when you're setting your target. So from the initial sort of breakdown from our entry point around here, remember I said it wouldn't be necessarily below that pivot line there, and this still could go down. It looks like it's still quite weak to the long side. Um, and it most likely will because remember the lower part of the zone is just as powerful as the higher part of this yellow level zone. So, but the reason I would always cut my targets a little bit short is because it will bounce off the higher part of that zone and then potentially do whatever it does up here until it comes down and smashes the low of the zone, if that makes any sense. So that was still a 221, well, more than that actually, wasn't it? 265 point move, 26.5 pips, and I would consider that to have been a positive analysis, and certainly it would have been a good scalp for whatever 140 points, 14, 15 pips, whatever, easily net of spread. So that's it. Hopefully I've covered every point in that. Sorry for all the pauses and interruptions. And if you watch it, thanks for watching.